Hello student, now in this video we will learn the conditional statement. Also how to write the conditional statement in if-then form. At the same time we will also learn the converse of the conditional statement. Next we will learn how to write the proof of the given conditional statement in the two methods. One is a direct proof and another is a indirect proof. And finally we will see the practice set 1.3. Now let us start the practice set 1.3. Let's learn conditional statement and converse. The statement which can be written in if-then form are called conditional statements. The part of statement following if is called antecedent and the part following then is called consequent. For example, consider the statement diagonals of rhombus are perpendicular bisectors of each other. Now in this case, see this rhombus, all sides are congruent. You know that the definition of the rhombus, all sides are congruent, their diagonals are perpendicular bisector of each other. Now for this statement, that is, it can be written as, the statement can be written in the conditional form as if the given quadrilateral is a rhombus, then its diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other. If the antecedent and the consequent in a given conditional statements are interchanged, the resulting statement is called the converse of the given statement. If you change it, then you will get the converse. That is, you can write first consequent and then antecedent. Then it is called the converse of the given statement. Also next, if the conditional statement is true, its converse is not necessarily true. Now study the following examples. Conditional statement. If a quadrilateral is a rhombus, then its diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other. Now the converse part. If the diagonals of a quadrilateral are perpendicular bisectors of each other, then it is a rhombus. Now in this example, the statement and its converse are true. Now consider the following example. Conditional statement. If a number is a prime, then it is odd or even. What about its converse? Now what is the consequence here? Even or the odd. If a number is even or the odd, then it is a prime number. Now in this example, the converse is not true. How it is not true? Even or odd, if we take this number, 9 is odd, 4 is even, 81 is odd, and in this way, these are the odd and even number, but they are not prime numbers. All numbers are not the prime numbers. Therefore, in this example, the statement is true, but its converse is false. Using this example, you can understand this concept. Now next, let's learn proof. How to write the proof? We have studied many properties of angles, triangles, and the quadrilateral through activities. Means what? We have find out the area of the triangle when base and height is given. We have find out the area of the rectangle, and we have find out the perimeter of rectangle when its length and breadth is given. Now in this standard, we are going to look at the subject of geometry with a different point of view, which was originated by a Greek mathematician Euclid, who lived in the 3rd century before Christian era. He gathered the knowledge of geometry prevailing at his time and streamlined it. He took for the granted some self-evident geometrical statement which are accepted by all and called them as a postulate. Now, which are the postulate? He showed that on the basis of the postulate, some more properties can be proved logically. The properties proved logically are called theorems. Some of Euclid's postulates are given below. There are infinite lines passing through a point. Now in this figure, E is a point and we can draw infinite number of lines which pass through the point. Now next postulate, there is one and only one line passing through 2 points, and in this figure C and D are the 2 points, and from these 2 points one and only one line passes through these 2 points. Next, a circle of given radius can be drawn taking any point at its center. Suppose that if you want to find out the radius of a circle 5 centimeter, then we take the O as center and take the radius 5 centimeter, we can draw the circle. All right angles are congruent to each other in this figure, triangle ABC and the triangle XYZ, measure of angle B is 90, measure of angle Y is equals to 90, and they are congruent to each other. Now the next, if two interior angles form on one side of transversal of two lines add up to less than two right angles, then the lines produced in that direction intersect each other. Now in this figure, these are the two interior angles, that is angle TPQ and angle PQT. They are less than two right angles, and if we produce these two lines, that is the line AB and the line CD, they meet each other at the point T. Now the next, we have verified some of these postulates through activities. A property is supposed to be true if it can be proved logically. Any property that we can prove, it's a logically. It is then called a theorem. The logical argument made to prove a theorem is called its a proof. When we are going to prove that a conditional statement is true, then its antecedent is called the given part and the consequent is called the part to be proved. There are two types of proofs. One is a direct and another is an indirect. Let us give a direct proof of the property of angles made by two intersecting lines. The opposite angles formed by two intersecting lines are of equal measure. Given line AB and line CD intersect at point O such that point A is between A and B and point O is between C and D. Therefore, to prove that the measure of angle AOC is equals to measure of angle BOD, AOC is equals to BOD, and measure of angle BOC is equals to measure of angle AOD. This we want to prove, that is, the opposite angles formed by the two intersecting lines are of the equal measure. Now we'll prove this by using the direct proof. What is here? We'll apply the property that is the sum of the measures of linear angle is equals to 180. Now in this figure, the measure of angle AOC plus measure of angle BOC is equals to 180. And this is step number 1 and it is called angles in linear pair. Next, measure of angle BOC plus measure of angle BOD is equals to 180. Again, these are the linear pair angles and this is the second statement, angles in linear pair. Now, as the right hand side is 180 and 180 for the first and second statement, it's clear that their left hand side must be equal. Therefore, angle AOC plus angle BOC is equals to angle BOC plus angle BOD. Now eliminate on both sides BOC. Then you will get angle AOC is equals to angle BOD. Similarly, it can be proved that BOC is equals to angle BOC is equals to angle AOD. And in this way, this is the example of the direct proof. What about the indirect proof? This type of proof start with an assumption. At the same time, you must know the basic properties of geometric figures also. This type of the proof start with an assumption that consequence is false. Whatever that we want to prove, that we assume that it is a false. Using it and the properties accepted earlier, we start arguing step by step and reach a conclusion. The conclusion is a contradictory with the antecedent or a property which is already accepted, which is given in the given. Hence, the assumptions that the consequent is false goes wrong. So, it is accepted that the consequent is true. Now we will study some example. What is the statement? A prime number greater than 2 is odd. Now the conditional statement is P is a prime number greater than 2, then it is odd. Now in this case, the consequent is odd. Antecedent P is a prime number. Now we'll write the given. P is a prime number greater than 2. That is, 1 and P are only divisors of P. What is to prove? To prove that P is an odd number. Now let us assume that is we want to prove that. What is the consequent? The consequent is P is an odd number. But we will assume that here P is not odd number. Then what will happen? Step by steps and will come the contradictory. So P is an even number. It is not odd. Then what type of the number will be? Even number. A divisor of P is 2. As it is an even number, then its divisor of P is 2. But it is given that, that is a P is a prime number greater than 2. Therefore, 1 and P are only the divisors of P. But we are getting the 2 is a divisor of P. How it is possible? Therefore, the statement 1 and 2 are the contradictory. Statement 1 say that P is a divisor of P is 2. But we have given that 1 and P are only the divisors of P. Therefore, statement 1 and 2, these are the different. They are the contradictory. Therefore, why we get the contradictory? Because the assumptions that P is not odd is false. Therefore, this proves that a prime number greater than 2 is odd. Now we'll start the practice set 1.3. It's very simple. Write the following statement in if-then form. The opposite angles of parallelogram are congruent. If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then opposite angles are congruent. The congruent is consequent part. Parallelogram is antecedent part. If a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then opposite angles of quadrilateral are congruent. These are the opposite angles A and C. B and D are the opposite angles. This is the if-then form. Now the next, the diagonals of rectangles are congruent. The congruent is consequent part, and the rectangle is an antecedent part. If a quadrilateral is a rectangle, then the diagonals are congruent, and in this case, the diagonal TJ and the RK are the congruent. Next, if a triangle is an isosceles, then the segment joining vertex of triangle and the midpoint of the base is a perpendicular to the base. Therefore, is a perpendicular to the base if it's a consequent. Now we will see. If a triangle is an isosceles, then the segment joining the vertex of a triangle and the midpoint of the base is a perpendicular to the base. Now next, write the converse of the following statement. Now we'll change here antecedent and the converse. If we change it, then we will get the converse part of the given statement. The alternate angles formed by two parallel lines and their transversals are congruent. Now here, if the alternate angles made by two parallel lines and the transversals are congruent, then the lines are parallel. Okay? If the alternate angles made by two lines and its transversals are congruent, then the lines are parallel. If a pair of interior angles made by a transversal of two lines are supplementary, then the lines are parallel. Again, I will repeat here. If a pair of interior angles made by a transversal of two lines are supplementary, then the lines are parallel. Now in this case, the converse is if two parallel lines are intersected by a transversal, the interior angles so formed are supplementary. The diagonals of rectangle are congruent. If the diagonals of quadrilateral are congruent, then that quadrilateral is a rectangle. And in this way, we have completed the practice set 1.3. Now we'll see in the next video. Till then, goodbye.